When we look at Australia, we tend to find that they are following in the same path as the US, Canada, the UK, and others. Accumulate as much debt as possible, take as much risk as you can, and remove any protections put in place in the system. At the center of it all is the derivatives. This is a completely fraudulent creation of mad scientists and should not exist. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to have our focus on Australia. I want to say hello to all my friends in Australia. This video is for you, but I assure you it applies to all countries around the world. Now, when you hear the word derivatives, you might think housing crisis, you might think sovereign debt crisis maybe, but you don't think Australia. But today, I'm going to show you why whenever you hear the word derivatives, you should be thinking of Australia. This has gone absolutely crazy since the financial crisis. They did not slow down. They did not stop. In fact, they simply picked up the pace. All right. So this information was brought to me by a subscriber. I thought it was really interesting. I wanted to bring it to you. There's an article that had a whole bunch of charts in it. So I'm going to cover first just a couple points from the article, then move into the charts. I'll make it as quick as I possibly can. Usually that doesn't happen, but I'll try. All right. Derivatives are used quite extensively by many sectors in the Australian economy. The data comes from the RBA. So they have an Excel sheet. If you're interested, you can download it. This lists up the bank's off-balance balances by category. The major component relates to interest rate derivatives, mainly OTC. Okay, that's over the counter, and that means they are not exchange-based transactions, but are bespoke hedges either for their customers or trading on their own behalf with other banks or both. Thus, they may be speculative in nature as traders are taking positions in the market. Over the years, the treasury operations of banks have become a profit center in their own right. Imagine how many derivatives there actually are. Now, there is a lot of speculation. I'll show you in a moment what the biz calculates it to be. But that's a small fraction, as far as I'm concerned, for the actual total. What they try to do is have the over-the-counter, the OTC derivatives, and add that all up. I don't know if there's ever been a full calculation, but again, more to come on that in just a moment. Looking at this, there's two different analysis that they've run through here, actually more than that, but I'm going to show you two in this section. They're suggesting the DTCC has totaled it up to $42 trillion as of June of 2017. If you look at the interest rate derivatives specifically, that's $35 trillion. Okay, so massive quantities here. Well, the AFMA had decided to total it up to $47.2 trillion. Okay, so we're in that range here. So depending on who you ask, how bad is it? Is it the 37 trillion? Or is it in fact the 47 or 42 trillion? Hey, give or take a few trillion, it's all good. Now, looking at this here, total financial derivatives in Australia, you could see from 89 up until 2017, this number has become quite astronomical. And I want to focus not just on the amount. In this case here, they're totaling up to about 37, but what I would have to note, it's so important, is that during this time frame, the global financial crisis, we were supposed to see a deleveraging occurring. And look at what happened in Australia. Barely anything. Canada, same situation, by the way. Not picking on Australia, although recently I have been doing that. But hey, you need to learn the truth, okay? No matter where you live, you need to know what's going on inside Australia. When I do videos on the UK, no matter where you live, you need to understand what's going on in the UK and Canada and so on, all right? So we had about 5 seconds worth of deleveraging, and they had just picked up the pieces ever since. Pick up the pace ever since. I mean, just look at where it has gone. We're supposed to be getting rid of derivatives because we learned the lesson. They're very dangerous, and so they should be used sparingly in a laboratory setting only, not like this. I mean, it's crazy. All right, banks off-balance sheet items by value. It breaks it down into the different sections: credit derivatives, direct credit substitutes, and so on. But clearly, the trend is here up and onward. Banks detailed off-balance sheet items by type. You could see the OTC swaps here. Definitely by far, in fact, the majority of this. Again, looking at this by type. OTC gross notional July 2017. Interest rates make up the highest percentage of that. The grand total, based on this calculation here, is about 47 trillion. I don't know who the right number is. I'm not even going to attempt to look at it. I chose the lowest estimate based on this. Here is the biz, where they basically go through, calculate it all, and you could see it had peaked out, according to their estimations, at $700 trillion. I've seen, first of all, quoting in my book, 1.5 quadrillion in derivatives. I have the link to that. It's referenced, so we have that information. But whether it's 700 trillion or 1.5 quadrillion, does it matter? The amounts we're talking about are so much larger than the entire world, many times over. So there's no possible way that I would ever necessarily think that, well, we went from 1.5 quadrillion down to 700 trillion, so therefore everything's okay. Like it's just silly to think about that. And global OTC derivatives market, notional amounts outstanding, that has increased as well over the years leading up to the global financial crisis. There is no deleveraging occurring. Let's get that out of our heads. That is the video of Australia. I hope you found it informative. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. I'm going to end it there. Too many videos today, but I wanted to get this out for you right away. If you wanted to take a look at my books, they've got the financial education that were simply not taught to you in schools, okay? So when you read these books, you figure it out from A to Z, from the top to bottom. You know what's going on. I talk about the financial situation and how to prepare for it. Take a look at the link in the description. I'll bring you over to Amazon, which allows you to flip through the book for yourself. If you're more interested in the audiobook version, you can get that at themoneygps.com.